Hey everybody, Joe Joseph here for thedailysheeple.com, and this is your news shot. Let's go to Zero Hedge, where they're saying, feel the burn. Washington, D.C. dominates new sexually transmitted diseases per capita rankings from the CDC. Now, if I know it's hard to believe, but, you know, Mordor on the Potomac, Washington, D.C., I mean, that is the cesspool of the planet. I used to think that third world countries like, you know, Djibouti was bad. And I mean, I guess from a standard of living standpoint, it is. But from a darkness, from an evil, just from an absolutely acrimonious standpoint, guess what? DC takes the cake. I think worldwide, it is the darkest place on the face of this planet. It is the nastiest place on the face of this planet. May not be the dirtiest, but it is straight up nasty. It says the Centers for Disease Control just released their latest study on sexually transmitted diseases and provided yet another reason why Congress has a lower approval rating than that last paper cut you just got. You could have sworn nearly sliced your finger completely off. As the chart below illustrates, the miscreants who run our federal government in between their extramarital affairs, of course, apparently helped Washington, D.C. to dominate the CDC's state-by-state rankings for STDs in 2016. With respect to chlamydia outbreaks, for example, Washington, D.C. reported cases exceeding the national average by a staggering 118%. And the next closest state was Alaska. I mean, I guess they don't have anything better to do up in Alaska. And they, by 40%. So get this. In 2016, a total of 1.6 million cases of chlamydia trachomatis infection were reported to the CDC, making it the most common notifiable condition in the United States. This case count corresponds to a rate of 497.3 cases per 100,000 in the population, a 4.7% increase from 2015. Now, get this. Not just chlamydia in D.C. Like I said, that place is dirty. But our political elites, the powers that shouldn't be, they dominated across the board in 2016 when it came to STDs, with the outbreak of gonorrhea in our nation's capital reaching a staggering 230% above the national average. Yeah, so if it wasn't that bad, chlamydia was bad enough. Now gonorrhea, 230% above the national average. As a matter of fact, D.C. just totally and completely obliterated the next closest state, which was Delaware. And, I mean, by almost triple. That's crazy. Now, meanwhile, syphilis outbreaks in D.C. exceeded the national average by 175%. Syphilis. That's right. 2.1 cases per 100,000 of the population. Highest rate since 1941. There's a lot of debauchery that happens. Remember the D.C. Madam? Remember the Black Book and the D.C. Madam? You've heard all of the pedophilia claims, the Franklin cover-up. If you've never read a book, if you want to read a book that will totally and completely make the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, that will totally and completely disgust you to the core, that there is this kind of evil that's allowed to exist, let alone legislate over our country, then read the Franklin cover-up. An unbelievable story of pedophilia and evil at the highest levels of governance in this land. It's unbelievable. Now, it's estimated that there are more than 20 million new STDs in the U.S. each year, and half of these are among young age people 15 to 24. Now, across the nation at any given time, there are more than 110 million total new and existing infections. These infections can, of course, lead to long-term health consequences, like infertility. They can facilitate the transmission of HIV. And there's really been a stigma out for subgroups of Americans with regards to STDs. So, interestingly enough, the place where the most concentration of STDs are is Mordor on the Potomac, Washington, D.C. Sauron's joint, you know? That's basically what it is. It's where I really can't even describe the level of evil that exists there. And again, you know, you can dress it up with American flags and green grasses and the National Mall and the Smithsonian and tourists and everybody singing and dancing and singing Kumbaya together. But you want to know what? At the end of the day, it's all smoke and mirrors, my friend, because behind that facade lurks the darkest, most evil place on the face of this earth. I will avoid that place like the plague. A cesspool of debauchery and sin. I'm Joe Joseph. This was thedailysheeple.com's News Shot. Feel free to comment below and visit our website at thedailysheeple.com. Have a great day, everybody.